There are generally a lot of myths around drone shows. Legends, myths, some misunderstandings, since the technology is still quite new. People don't understand how it works and make their own guesses. I have arranged all the myths in this video from the most popular to the least obvious. And in fact, today we will dispel all these myths. Watch this video to the end to find out how many myths you believe in. What is a drone show? In general, a drone show is a technology that allows the use of drones, quadcopters to display various figures, inscriptions, images, anything in the sky. Drones are equipped with LEDs. They glow in the sky, take off and line up in neat rows. They spin and twirl, thus telling a story or showing what the client needs. We talked about this in more detail in our previous video. Click on the suggestion to watch it and we move on to the myths. Myth number 1. To launch a 1,000 drone show, you need 1,000 pilots. One of the most obvious and popular myths is that people think that to launch 1,000 drones, you need 1,000 people with controllers. Because the average person is used to drones being launched with a controller, the same concept is applied to drone shows. But in fact, this is of course not the case. To launch 1,000 drones, 5,000 or however many, you certainly don't need that many people, otherwise we would all go crazy trying to coordinate these people. In reality, everything is controlled by a computer program. Each drone is programmed for a specific flight task, a specific trajectory. In fact, to launch a drone show, well, let's say 1,000 drones, a team of 8 people is enough, where 1 or 2 people will be pilots, directly controlling the computer, and the rest will help set up and collect the drones. Myth number 2, drones need to know each other's locations to avoid collisions. In fact, such technology exists. It's called a drone swarm, where indeed each drone is aware of the other and autonomously builds its route in real time, in such a way as to avoid collision. This technology is quite complex and in fact it's simply not needed. In drone shows everything is much simpler. The trajectories of the drones are calculated in advance using a computer program during 3D modeling. When the animator develops the animation, they calculate everything there. That is, the computer itself calculates how each drone should fly. Then we receive the necessary files, which are simply uploaded to the drone. And that's why each drone just knows where it needs to be at any given time and what color to light up. That's precisely why they don't collide and nothing happens. Additional plugins have been written, and software has been developed that checks everything the animator has programmed. And if suddenly an error occurs, the animator, who is highly skilled and experienced, sees it immediately. And if for some reason the animator, despite their expertise, misses the error, the pilot, who is also well trained, reviews the entire animation using their specialized software once more, and they can definitely see if something has been calculated incorrectly somewhere. Therefore, as of today, drone collisions due to intersecting trajectories are simply excluded. Myth number 3, drones for light shows can be bought in any tech store. There are people who think that to launch a drone show, you can just go to a store, buy any Mavic, let's say, buy 10 of them, quickly program something, and then everything will fly. In reality, of course, this is not the case, because in the world of drones, each drone has its own special purpose. That is, there are drones for agricultural services. There are drones for military services. There are drones specifically designed for filming, FPV drones for sharp turns, flying through narrow spaces, and so on. And there are drones that are specifically designed for shows. What is the difference between drones designed for shows and all the other drones sold in stores? The first and most important difference is that everything unnecessary has been removed. Firstly, there is no camera because it is not needed. Secondly, the firmware on it is much simpler. That is, all that is needed from a drone that flies in a show is for it to understand its positioning and light up in the required color. And precisely for the most accurate positioning, a super precise navigation receiver is installed on the show drone, which by the way is much more accurate than those in drones sold in stores, because when filming, video shooting, you simply don't need such precision. But when you need each drone to maintain a centimeter distance from each other and so on, you need very super precise accuracy. Show drones are equipped with this kind of special receiver. This is in fact probably one of the most expensive parts of this drone. There's nothing more inside, so if you take a drone from a store, it certainly won't be suitable. There's a lot of unnecessary stuff and it weighs a lot, so of course not. You can't just go buy drones in a store and make a show out of them. Myth number 4, drones need perfect weather conditions. Some people think that for a drone show to fly successfully and go smoothly, perfect weather conditions are needed with no wind, no rain, and the temperature within certain limits like plus 15 degrees, no more, no less. In fact, this is also not true. Today's drones, at least the ones we develop, are designed to operate in a wide range of weather conditions, starting from strong winds, with gusts sometimes up to 12 meters per second. Also, since everything unnecessary has been removed, with no boards or anything else sticking out, everything is enclosed in a sufficiently sealed body. This allows the drones to fly in, drizzling rain, maybe some slush in fog and so on. That is, a little moisture will not harm the drones in any way. Speaking of low temperatures, for example, in the far north, where the temperature reaches minus 20 degrees Celsius. This is also possible. Temperature, in principle, probably does not affect the drone in any way except for one parameter. That is the battery. The battery is significantly affected by temperature, but again, this does not mean that it doesn't work. In northern regions where the temperature is low, it is absolutely possible to conduct drone shows. But one fact must be kept in mind. It's important to understand that even if we're talking about strong winds, yes, the drone can resist strong winds, but it also significantly drains the battery. That is, the stronger the wind, the shorter the flight time. This is very important for safety, to ensure nothing falls, lands unexpectedly, or anything like that. Therefore, in areas where there are hurricane winds and so on, these are often coastal areas. Perhaps from my memory, I recall the Bosphorus. The Bosphorus is generally like a tube between two seas. There is always a strong wind there, and in such places, you must always keep in mind that strong wind will significantly drain the battery, so the flight mission time should always be shorter than in places with ideal conditions. And we move on to the last myth. Myth number 5, drone shows can be hacked. At one time, a video went viral on the internet which was titled, "How to Hack a Drone Show." There, the guys were showing that everything went off plan, and instead of a beautiful drone show, all sorts of indecencies were displayed in the sky. From this, the myth arose that it's possible to break a drone show, meaning to ruin the team's work and launch something that wasn't planned. In fact, this is not the case, or you could say not entirely the case. As I mentioned earlier, the flight mission is prepared in advance. An animator drew the animation on a computer. This was all converted into trajectories, and all of this is uploaded into the drone. Hacking can occur at the moment if suddenly someone changes these files. For instance, the animator prepared certain files, but then a malicious actor appeared, hacked into the pilot's computer, and replaced these files. Thousands of files. If there are 10,000 drones, they would need to replace 10,000 files and so on. In this case, the show can be ruined. In practice, this is simply excluded because, as I mentioned earlier, pilots always check the animation before uploading the file to the drone. At this stage, any interventions, any interferences are simply excluded. Therefore, generally speaking, no, drone shows cannot be hacked. So, we've learned about all the most popular myths that exist in the field of drone shows. Be sure to write in the comments which of these myths you believed in, maybe in all of them at once. We would be very interested to read them. Like this video and subscribe to our channel to learn about the technologies of the future.